And that brings us to the next presenter, Chris Davila, who is an art consultant and an arts advocate based right here in San Antonio with an experience in installation, programming, curating, and promotion as well, which you might want to hit him up for later. His mission is to develop and promote San Antonio art and artists. He has worked for both the McNay Art Museum and the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center. Ms. Davila, yeah, I just realized that. Okay. I just wanted to see how many of you would, I'm sorry. Hey, there were four Randys in my dorm in college, and I was the only guy, and I got that, so I'm sorry. Chris hosts Chris's Connection. She has an online interview series which focuses on art in San Antonio. I am so sorry. Please welcome Chris Davila.
You know what they say about people who make assumptions. That's right. Thank you all for having me this evening, so let's just get into it. So social media has revolutionized the way we interact with each other on a daily basis. The challenge of social media is not to post aimlessly to a multitude of networks, nor to sit idly by. It's to create and increase audience engagement. For me, social media is a free tool that combines creativity, innovation, and education. Now, I love MMA, which is mixed martial arts. In the fall of 2011, a friend who was already deeply immersed in social media suggested that I write an MMA blog from the woman's perspective. I said, a blog? He said, yeah, it's easy. You're on Twitter, right? I said, yeah. And he said, well, you're engaging your audience, right? And I was like, what do you mean? So around that same time, I was thinking of opening my own gallery space here in town. A good friend of mine from Austin jokingly said, you should just get a truck, fill it up with art, and come up to Austin. I was like, oh, okay. So, in March of 2012, South by Santo was born. I rented a truck, filled it with art, and headed out to South by Southwest. I knew that social media would be an integral part of the trip, as I didn't want to be stationary. I spent 3 days in Austin, doing about 12-hour days, and I moved about every 3 or 4 hours. But how would people find me? Foursquare is a location-based app. You create a profile and you can check in any location around you, or you can create your own locations. So you can link your Foursquare account to Twitter so you hit a larger audience than just your Foursquare friends. When checking in, I always made sure to include a photo of where I was, and I used tons of hashtags. So a very large part of social media is determining which audience on what social network will be interested in any given project. So if you're a museum, gallery, or an arts nonprofit, you should be on Instagram. And most especially if you're an artist trying to sell your work, you should be on Instagram as well. But I also relied on Facebook too, because that's the big one, right? And everybody knows that one. So did I create engagement? Yes. Did I increase engagement? Absolutely. So you can see from the snapshot of my Twitter feed, you note the various hashtags that I used. When attempting any social media project, do your research on the necessary keywords and hashtags. The easiest way to think of hashtags is as a filing system. So you want to make it very easy for the real world to find your tweets, and hashtags do that. So, but wait a minute, wasn't the point to sell some art and spread some San Anto love? So I'm happy to report that I did sell art, I met tons of people, and I made some really lasting connections via Twitter. So it absolutely worked 100%. But I realized what was missing was the educational component. The buzzword in education these days is STEAM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. For instance, you can introduce a work of art in a math class to discuss mathematical principles. But honestly, I deal mostly in contemporary Latino art, so how do I bring this all together? So the Aztec civilization schools offered a formal system of education. Every child had to attend, including girls and slaves. School was mandatory and free, and teachers were highly respected. The Aztecs made advances in art, architecture, and astronomy. They were the first to suggest the number 0, and they gave us the calendar system that we continue to use today. So in this work called Chuparosa by Alma Lopez, using STEAM principles, we can explore the use of space in the composition, as well as the principle of emphasis in a work of art. We can discuss the Aztecs and their use of icons and symbols and how contemporary Latino artists are making these connections in arts through creativity. Now, puzzles promote creativity because you're using both your left and the right side of your brain at the same time. So I love puzzles, but I was trying to figure out a way to recycle them because I don't like to do them more than once. And using social media became that answer. My friend and I would do the puzzle, flip it over, and write a message on the back, usually related to the image on the front, including my Twitter handle and then the name of the project, which is Puzzle Bomb SA. So we'd crumble up the puzzle, put it back in the box, tape full instructions to the outside of the box, which includes putting the puzzle back together, finding the message on the back, and tweeting me a picture, thus completing the game, right? So again, I'd use Foursquare to check in at the puzzle location, and of course the wide shots of the puzzle location to make it easy to find. So one day my friend Dave said, hey, what if I draw on the puzzle? I was like, sure, man, go for it. And so Hipster Bunny was born. So we took it a step further, this time by naming the puzzle Hipster Bunny and creating an additional hashtag, also including instructions on the box and of course the wide shot photo for the Foursquare check-in. So this time I innovated by creating my own new location in Foursquare, so you can see from the map that it was actually there within Hemisphere Park, but at the Puzzle Bomb and Hipster Bunny location. So I also learned to follow the crowd. So this particular puzzle was left at Hemisphere during a Third Brews Day event, and I definitely used their hashtag, and essentially anyone searching for Third Brews Day was going to find my check-in. So what started out as a way to recycle puzzles has now turned into a treasure hunt for beautiful original works of art, and this work is by Louis Chavez. The works include a message on the back still, though I encourage the artist to come up with a quote based on the work that they've created. So this is hashtag ChavezBug. I use the same process of checking in on a Foursquare, taking a wide shot photo, utilizing all the hashtags, and most importantly, attaching it to an event. So I found it was important to engage a critical mass of people, and large established events that utilize social media and hashtags are perfect for projects like this. So I realize now that the Puzzle Bomb project can act as a harbinger of what's to come as I travel with my mobile gallery. I'll leave beautiful, original works of art that spread our Sananto love and aesthetic all over the state of Texas, from El Paso to Dallas to Corpitos and beyond. So now I've shown you how I use social media to innovate in my work and my personal life, and I strongly suggest that you begin to do that same as well. I believe if you're not making someone else's life better, you're wasting your time and your gifts. So I want to leave you with this. On the eve of his return to Earth, after nearly 5 months on board the International Space Station, Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield recorded his own version of David Bowie's Space Oddity, and he posted it to Twitter.
To Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
First of all, I want to apologize. That was awesome. And is the Hipster Bunny a girl or a boy?
I'm not exactly sure. I think perhaps it was a
And it
boy.
doesn't really matter. I just thought okay. Okay, now I know some people are out there wondering about, you kind of touched on around here, monetizing is the word, social media. How do you tell people, okay, I got this Tumblr, I got Twitter, I got Foursquare, I got Facebook, and I have no money?
Well, the beautiful thing about social media is that it is a free tool. So anybody who has access to the internet, and that means anybody who can go to a public library, you don't have to have the internet connection at home, can go create any sort of a Facebook, Instagram, Foursquare account because it's free.
But
So
do you
anybody
have,
can do it.
and you have your own website?
Yeah, but I'm all over social media.
But you also, so where can we see your work and the latest about the mobile gallery and all that kind of stuff? What's the website?
If you look on, if there's any social network that anyone isn't interested in, whether it's Vine or Instagram or Foursquare, you can find me at the Chris Davila. Facebook, what have you, that's how you get a hold of me.
And if we see the mobile gallery around, what can we expect in there? And is it any of your work specifically, or are you more of a facilitator?
Well, I do some sculpture and photography, but mostly I focus on really kind of spreading what I like to call that Sananto love. So taking artists from San Antonio and spreading it outside of San Antonio.
Cool. But yeah, I could go there and I could buy that.
Yes, and also I'll be at the McNave for the Art to the Power of 10 event, which happens next Friday, September the 6th, representing several artists there. So if you guys are interested, come out. I'll be representing artists for that at the McNave, September 6th.
Thank you very much, Chris.